today's world, the essence of personal growth and continuous learning cannot be overemphasized because we are always on the lookout for opportunities and new ideas. This is why personal growth is important for our success when it comes to entrepreneurship and any kind of career that we want to pursue. In this edition of the Entrepreneurship Clinic, we are going to delve deeper into personal growth and career readiness. What do you need to know? And how can you even ensure that you are pursuing personal growth so you can have success in your career? My name is Mavis Nakole Ayi. Be our guest. Welcome back to Entrepreneurship Clinic right here on PCG TV, brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. And we are sponsored by Salem Water and Salem range of products. We have shea butter, we have hair food, and we have palm oil, tissues, and other products that you can purchase from any Presbyterian institution. And so you can also join in by sending your comments or any questions to our various social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Find us PCG TV and share your thoughts with us there as well. And so, like I mentioned, we are having a very special guest here who would help us have a discussion on personal growth and career readiness. What do we need to know? How does that affect how successful we become in our entrepreneurship journey? And what do we need to even put in place for all of that to happen? And this person is the CEO and founder of Prime to Prime Ideas and Tent Maker Ghana. He is also an entrepreneur and a financial analyst. And he is having a background in banking, finance, and investment, and has over 2 decades, or he has a background in accounting, project management, and research as well. Also, he is a former superintendent for Equiapim Presbytery and a former president, YAF president for North America, Australia Presbytery. And this person is no other but Mr. Henry A.J. Asari. You're welcome, Mr. Asari. Great. And so we are going to have the conversation as mentioned, and you can join in sending your comments or sending any questions or sharing your experiences with us as well on our various social media platforms as we look at personal growth and career readiness in this edition of the Entrepreneurship Clinic. You are most welcome once again. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So come to talk about personal growth and career readiness. I was just thinking, what is the link? But it's very, very linked. And so let's start from the personal growth. When we talk about personal growth, now it has become a thing that everybody talks about. But what do we really need to know when we are looking at anything personal growth? What should it entail?
Well, like you mentioned, these are 2 words put together.
Yeah.
It means it's personal. So it has to be with individuals.
Okay.
Growth means the movement from one level to the other, except that it is in an incremental level.
Okay.
See, the basis for every growth is also in the mind and around you. And if you have to have a growth as a person, it's a way that you can measure that you move from one level, which was lower from where you are currently.
Okay.
Right. So, in just a few words, I could just say that personal growth, it's your ability to know that I have moved from one level
to the
other, but in that movement, it's an ascending order.
Okay. So if someone moves from JHS1 to JHS2, that's personal growth.
There's a growth.
There's a growth.
Right. But so if it has to be a personal one, then it also has to tie in with your own personal ambition.
Okay.
What do you intend to do? What is your aspiration? Because I tell people that one of the things that you cannot stop is time. Right?
Yeah.
One of the things that you can also not stop is system that keeps moving. And so your ability to go with that movement is very important to tie to your own plan. Where do you want to see yourself in a certain period of time?
Okay.
And so it is very important that if you are dealing with growth for a person, you are dealing with an objective of that person.
Okay.
What may constitute growth to you may not be the same for somebody else. So when you say that maybe you just move from JHS2 to JHS3, but to you it's not growth because the level with which you want to go is not the same level that you are going. It also ties with pace.
Okay.
What is the incremental development that your growth is taking? And so I think that personal growth has to tie with an objective that you have as a person.
Very, very key. So I've taken some few things from you, mindsets, number one, and then I've taken also pace and then having personal ambition.
Right.
So in as much as you may be or find yourself in any kind of field, it also has to do with what personal objectives you have.
Absolutely.
So can we say that maybe you're working in a certain organization or even having your own entity that you're working with, but the organization has its own goals, its own vision and objectives? Does it mean that as a person, you also need to have your personal objectives within where you are based? So you can say that, okay, I am growing personally or I'm just contributing to the organization's growth.
Well, so fortunately, I've worked with organizations that had to recruit, and I've been part of getting people on board for such organizations. I always tell people that if you go into Tamale,
Mm-hmm.
you would not go and sit in a car because you think the car will be faster.
Mm.
You will sit in a Tamale car,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you want to join any organization, you must assess the objective of the organization to
Okay.
see whether it ties with your own personal objectives.
Okay.
There are people who have been frustrated in organizations. And it's not because the organization is not doing well. It's because what they intend to do or what their own aspirations are does not tie with organizational aspirations.
Mm.
And that is the level of frustration we have. We have people who are teachers. They don't intend to be teachers, except that there was no option. So they
Yeah.
just had to go into
Opt for
that,
that.
right? And so usually people get frustrated when their career aspirations does not meet with organizational aspirations. So to answer your question, if your own personal aspiration does not tie with an organizational aspiration, no matter the level of remuneration they give you, I would always advise don't take it,
Oh,
because every organization gives you two things. One is your career development. Two is remuneration.
mm.
The remuneration is determined by somebody else. Your boss who doesn't like you can choose not to increase your pay, right? But the experience you get in an organization, even if your boss doesn't like you,
You
it
still
has
get
no,
it.
yes, you get it, right?
Mm.
So, and that is the level of maturity you would be able to exert if you go with something that you want, right? So,
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to career development, it has to be something that you know that it gives you some level of fulfillment,
Mm-hmm.
and you see yourself developing, even when your remuneration may not even
Yeah.
correspond with your growth.
That's very key, because now you find a lot of people saying that maybe they are even voluntarily interning with certain organizations, not because, like you're saying, for their remuneration, but just because they want some kind of experience to
Right.
set up themselves. And even for this, as we are talking about entrepreneurs and people who are now starting up, how do you think that, or how can they create that mindset for personal growth? Because it must be continuous as well. How do they maintain that momentum?
Right.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm talking about entrepreneurship, I want to distinguish between an entrepreneur and a self-employed.
Okay.
Um,
That's interesting.
in an economy that people struggle to have basic needs, you have more self-employed than entrepreneurs. So what's the difference? A self-employed is somebody who there's no job, you're looking for something, and so you kind of look for a solution, and you create something so that you can feed yourself or take care of yourself. Your intention is not to build structures to solve a problem, or not to create solutions to a problem, right? Those people, what happens is that when they start something, even when they're successful and they get good opportunity, they leave, they quit, because that is not their intention.
Yeah.
So you see somebody who says, well, I want to go into agribusiness, I want to go into food processing. And if the person is an entrepreneur, because the motivation is creating solution, that person knows what the mission is. That person knows what the vision is. And talking about mission and vision, um, running a hub, I've always tell people that it's unfortunate people want to be in their mission and they want to jump into their vision, right? So people will say, well, I want to start a business, and I think I need 200,000 cities to start a business, and the reason I've not started because I've not gotten 200,000, right? In the entrepreneurship world, there's something called bootstrapping.
Okay.
It means that you start from a level, and then whatever you get, you will reply back, and then you increase from level one level to the other. If you wait to want to see yourself in your vision before you start your mission, you will never
You
start.
never start.
Right? Because your vision is your own dreams.
Yeah.
People don't see those as their own dreams, right? So it's always important that you move from a mission to a vision through core values.
Okay.
Right. So the core value will propel you from your mission into your vision. Now, coming back to the difference between an entrepreneur and a self-employed. An entrepreneur is somebody who finds a problem, look for viable solutions that's economically viable, whether it is social for social benefits or for economic benefits, and then creates a product or services to solve that problem. Now, the objective is solving a problem, and the problem is contained in a product. So let me give you an example. We have Salem water here, right? If I tell you that I want to sell you a Salem water, I'll tell you that, oh, if you are thirsty, I can get you water. But how about if I tell you that throughout the creation of Salem water, our objective is to make sure that people are healthy. And because we are concerned about the health of people, we put our health in the water. So every process of creating or bringing out Salem water, we make sure that we are the distillness and even the way we produce it, the packaging and everything, our consciousness is on health. So when you take it, you know that you are taking something that is healthy. Now, the image I create in your mind is health.
Yeah.
But it's water.
Yeah.
Right? So once you pick it, what you do is that you see it and you say, this is health. Right? But it's just water. So, but that person is creating a solution. However, if I just want something to, to feed myself, and as I'm saying, I would hit a snag. They are not buying. I say, well, even Ghana, when you produce water, people don't like to buy, and I start complaining. But if I'm an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs are solution bearers, my responsibility is to identify why people are not buying. Maybe because of packaging, maybe because of sales, maybe because I'm not telling the right story. Right? And so the way you will grow in an ecosystem of entrepreneurship is your ability to understand whether you are a self-employed or an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So I asked earlier that creating that mindset, and that is telling us what ambitions you even have and what intent you hope to, use your venture for.
Right.
So I think that's very important. So I also am asked that how do we make sure that we are maintaining that momentum? Because like you mentioned earlier, some people may even start, and then along the way, when there are challenges, instead of creating extra solutions for those, they just change their ways. How about that? Is it changing mindset? Is it, producing or getting that growth mindset, or is just about bowing to the challenges? I don't know what distinctiveness is that.
So entrepreneurship is a very difficult venture. So I worked in a bank for 14 years and retired. When I was working, if somebody asked me, what are you doing? I can say I'm a banker. Now, when I stopped and I went to start my own business, and until it becomes something that people know, and you ask me, I say I'm an entrepreneur. You ask, what are you doing? Because it's pretty confusing. It's like an abstract, right? When you deal with entrepreneurship, there is something we call a business model, right? You have key partners, you have your customers, you have key resources, you have your finance. This is just your base, which is your cost, your revenue, and other things, your marketing plan and streams and things like that. Each one of these things, for which your core values pose challenges. In fact, even in developed countries, the rate of entrepreneurship is probably about 20% or less. In a place like Ghana, it'll probably be like 5%. Because economic issues are affecting you. If sales is very expensive, and sometimes if you don't get to connect with the right people, it becomes challenging for you to continue to sustain it. The way to sustain, for us as Christians, we say grace. But again, you must be intentional, very intentional. When you look at your business model, your customer segment must be very clear to you. You have to understand who you are selling to. Sometimes those you are selling to are not the same people who buy.
Mm.
So let's say you are selling Pampers.
Okay.
Who do you use Pampers for? Kids.
Children, yeah.
But they're not one who buy.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to find a way to appeal those who buy.
Okay.
Right. So the journey of entrepreneurship is a science. You need to be able to understand the core aspect of it.
Okay, so we'll come to that being a science and needing to understand all of that. We are going for a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation on personal growth and career readiness. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurship Clinic, the October edition, as we talk about personal growth and career readiness, what you need to know. And we are having the conversation with Mr. Henry Ejay Asari, who is CEO and founder for Prime to Prime and Tent Maker Ghana. And so we have been talking about what we need to know when it comes to personal growth, what goes into it, and then the mindsets that you even have to create for yourself so that you can keep up the momentum in developing yourself or in pursuing growth wherever you find yourself. The need to also have your personal objectives and to also set a pace for yourself when it comes to growth. So we'll continue the discussion, but you can also join in sending your comments or your questions to any of our social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. We are there, PCG TV, and so do well to join us on any of those social media platforms. We are also sponsored by Salem Water and Salem range of products. We have Salem, we have hair food, we have shea butter, we have palm oil, we have tissues and body lotion, among other things. And so get to any of the Presbyterian institutions to purchase any of these products. And it is brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. So continuing right from where we ended, talking about, entrepreneurship being a science and then understanding the crux of it all. So we can take it from there.
All right. So again, like we mentioned, if you need to develop yourself in this ecosystem, you need to be able to read and learn wide.
Okay.
One of the ways that entrepreneurs are able to develop themselves is through mentorship. You need to have a mentor. You need to have somebody that inspires you. But also you need to have a challenge. See, one of the things that drive entrepreneurship is problem. And that is why I tell people that if you want to be an entrepreneur, just be in a trotro. You would find people talking about problem, and then you probably find something else. But if you need to develop in a space that there are not much, you need to be able to understand how, and the how is who would inspire you. Sometimes you can have some people who you may not have direct contact with, but then they will inspire you. You need to also be able to read wide. You need to be able to understand your numbers. Finance is a very important aspect of everything. Interestingly, people know how to spend, but when you talk about how to manage, people don't deal with it well. So to develop yourself in an entrepreneurship ecosystem, that is the way you could be able to do that. Read wide, get a mentor. These days in our ecosystem, there are hubs, incubation hubs like Tent Maker, like what PCG is trying to do. We having a hub under the DSS to create a hub for the church. Once you join those people, you get people of like-minded. They are also trying to solve a problem. And so when you're having conversations, they inspire you. They tell you the challenges and you tell them yours. And so you can be able to use that peer motivation to guide you and propelling some of these things. When you are dealing with these things alone, it's sometimes very difficult. It's very, very difficult. So that's what I want to say about when it comes to entrepreneurship. And because it's a science, you need to be able to know all the aspects that are involved, and also understand that you can't do it alone. There are always, I've said that there are always three actors in every entrepreneurial journey. There is somebody who is the entrepreneur who founded or had the idea and is called a founder. There is somebody who probably found the idea and called an investor. But also there's somebody who manages the idea, right, called the manager. Sometimes you have people, one person playing all these three things.
I was just about asking.
Right. But it is always important that you separate it. Because if you put your money in a business and then you are managing some people, when you see them as an investor. And sometimes if you're an investor and you are managing people, it's very difficult because you see every CD that you put in going to waste. Maybe the person is talking on the phone. You say, "Why are you talking on the phone?" Right? And so that is why you find that usually people put money in institutions that they are not managing.
Yeah.
And when the organization begins to grow, it's an organism. You must be able to separate yourself from the system.
Okay.
That's one of the challenges that we have in our continent. You don't have a lot of organizations where the founder is not alive.
Okay.
Right. So you have companies, they are doing very well. The founder dies, the organization dies because they couldn't detach themselves. And those ones are, I always call them, they are the grown self-employed, right? They wanted to create something for themselves.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't detach themselves.
From the
And then maybe because it's a need, it's an essential need, they got a lot of customers. So they got a lot of money, but they're still self-employed. And so they can't even exit the organization. Once they exit, it dies, right?
Yeah. So I was just also thinking about the fact that talking about the career readiness and part of it, how do we build that confidence? Because sometimes people get to know some of these things. Maybe mentors are even inspiring them and all of that. But as to whether am I capable of doing this? Do I have the needed resources? Do I have the time? Can I keep myself to pace when it comes to whatever I set as objectives? How do we develop that kind of confidence to keep up that mindset of an entrepreneur?
When they talk about career, I always and so when I think about career, I think about people who are starting or who are changing organizations. And so they could be new people or people who already have experience they want to change. I've already mentioned that it has to tie with your own personal dreams. But if you are somebody who's starting, let's say you are watching and you are somebody who just finished university and you want to join something. I've always said that join an organization that will train you.
Okay.
It will be the best option is to join an organization that's the one who is managing to see you. If you join a very big organization, sometimes your performance may not even be measured well. So you join an organization that's performance are very clear to the one who is driving the mission and the vision of the organization, right? But it has to tie with your own personal dreams. But even if you don't have a personal dream, you have to get to a place that when you wake up in the morning, you want to go to the office, there's some drive within you to want to go and do something. When I was working in a bank, I used to tell my junior colleagues, the male, that if you leave your house and come to the office and go back home, and then you sit down in the day and cannot identify what you did in the day, I think you are failing, right? And so planning is key.
Okay.
Have daily plan. In my organization, one of the key things that we do, system that we have, is what we call a daily time equity report.
Okay.
Our time is the value we have. So it's your equity as a human being. That is your worth, right? And so when you come to work, you should be able to say, today I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. When I close, I should be able to assess and see, could I do A, B, C, and D? I was able to do A and C. Why didn't I do B and D? It will help you to improve when you come tomorrow. So planning is very important. But like I said, it's always important that if you want to be ready, you must look at the organization and check whether the organization meets your own personal aspiration or your career aspiration.
Okay, so let's coming back to the entrepreneurship bit of it. How essential is personal growth to our entrepreneurship journey? Because now it's not necessarily about working for somebody, but trying to solve a problem. How should that tie into it so that we can say that, okay, I am ready to start being an entrepreneur?
You must gather some experience. That's one of the things. I mean, I've had people who just from school, they say want to be an entrepreneur. Unless you are a Bill Gates whose parents have a lot of money and want to give you some money. Even with that, you must have the passion. You must have a product or a service to deliver, right? So you must have some experience. The second thing is that, like I mentioned, you must be able to read more.
Okay.
But you must know who you are selling to. Service, product, who are you selling to? what language do they understand? Now, PCG TV wants to reach a certain audience. Who are this audience? Do they speak English? Do they speak Chi? Are they young? Are they old? Those will fashion out what you would put on PCG TV, right? So this is for a church. The church has a wide range of young people. They're trying to figure out what to do with their life. So a program like this, it's probably will have to draw a lot more people to watch PCT because it is speaking to their needs, right? So if you want to develop yourself as an entrepreneur, you basically must be able to measure. But again, like I said, you must be able to have a plan that is documented. The challenge for most of us is that we don't document things, right? One of the things that I've learned in the church is that documentation is very key for our success so that you can look back and check whether it is something that is right. So I think that documentation is very important for you to check whether you are doing or not.
So now I'm talking about the fact that we need documentation, and then for entrepreneurs we need some of all of planning, documenting, and also having written down our personal objectives and all of that. I'll just ask a quick question that's talking about even the planning. Do we need to consider what capabilities we have in our planning? Or maybe you don't have something, so you have to include in your plans that I will learn this skill before I start being the entrepreneur that I want to be. Just briefly before we go on break.
All right. So I mentioned that what an entrepreneur is doing is bringing a product or a service. But because it's a product and service and then it's reaching out to a certain customer, it becomes an enterprise. And there are various forms of it. There's a finance part of it, there's a marketing part of it. Sometimes there's an IT part of it. Maybe there's some production part of it. If it is a very small business, you may want to learn across these things and then take care because you can't hire people for that. So that's why that is the capacity building you need to do. So learn how to keep your books and keep them, write them, have a book for it. Learn how to speak to people and engage them. Be passionate about it. If you know what the solution is, like I mentioned about Salem Water probably will say that we are a healthcare company, but they're producing water. And they think that people take water and force it, right? But if you take Salem Water, you are not, you know that there is the essential aspect of health. And so we make sure that every content of it is measured, whatever acidity, whatever it is that is needed for the body is contained in production, right? So you must then learn. So you may say that I'm just producing water, but if you know that water is health, you have to read about health, and then market that aspect. I mean, Ghana, nobody wants to die, right? And again, you can even tell people that by buying one Salem Water, it saves you the hospital. That could be a trademark, right?
Yeah, selling points. Anyways, we are going on a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation on personal growth and career readiness, and so don't go away. Welcome back to the October edition of Entrepreneurship Clinic right here on PCG TV, brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. And we are sponsored by Salem Water and Salem range of products. And so we have shea butter, we have body lotion, we have hair food, we have palm oil, we have tissues, and host of other products as well. And so do get close to any of the Presbyterian institutions, and then you can purchase and then consume some of these products or even trade in them. And in this edition, we are having the conversation with one very great guest who is in a person of Mr. Henry J. Asari, who is the CEO and founder of Prime to Prime Ideas and then tent maker as well, and also a former superintendent of the Ikuapem Presbytery and former YAF president of the North American and Australia Presbytery as well. And I believe that you're taking a lot of notes because personal growth has become a thing that you cannot do away with if you really want to advance in your career, if you really want to advance in your entrepreneurship journey. And so continuing right from where we stopped, we are talking about the planning and then how people or how entrepreneurs can document their stuff so that they can make progress in their entrepreneurship journey, solving problems as well, not just getting employed. So how essential is it for entrepreneurs, once again, to, plan how to get ready for whatever challenges that are there, because challenges are inevitable. And sometimes you mentioned that when it happens like that and people are not really ready, then they bow out of whatever objectives they even set. How do people prepare themselves adequately to meet these challenges?
Well, in business development and in building a business, there's a system we use in measuring that, which we call a SWOT analysis.
Okay.
You should be able to measure your own strength, your weakness. These are internal things. Your strength and your weakness are things that are within.
Okay.
The opportunities, which is outside, and the threats, which is also outside. And so once you are able to see, you should be able to measure these periodically.
Okay.
So if you're starting anew, it's always important that these measurements are done on a monthly basis. So at the end of the month, you should be able to see whether your strength is increasing or diminishing. So within, are we becoming stronger or we are becoming weaker? Because if you are becoming weaker, you are dying within.
Yeah.
Right. And are there opportunities? What are the opportunities? Assuming somebody says, I wanted to go into mining, right? And all these ecosystem threats, you ask yourself, is it the right time for me to do that? So the SWOT analysis help you to be able to validate whether indeed you are growing or you are not growing. And for an organization, that's the best thing that you can do. And for an individual, even as an individual, even if you are a career person, SWOT, your personal SWOT helps you, right? You need to know what your strengths are. Now, when you read Romans 12, verse 1 and 2, in the verse 2, the Bible tells us that we should not conform to the world. But then the second part is what's essential. You say that, but transform the world. But the basis of that transformation is a renewal of your mind. Right? It means that you always must measure whether you have an advantage in the system. So let's come back even to organizations again. Assuming that you are in an office and they said they want to lay go off, do you think you have what it takes for them to maintain you? Right. That's why I mentioned that there are two things that when you are working, if you are an entrepreneur and you are working for somebody, you gain. You gain salary, you gain experience. Your salary is determined by your boss. If they don't like you, they will increase your salary. But your experience, even if someone doesn't like you and you are somebody who like to work, you will still get your experience. And that is what nobody can take away from you.
And also coming to the fact that from the experience part of it, sometimes you need networks to even work with. How do we ensure that we create the necessary, and the right network so that we can be ready for whatever career journey we want to embark on?
All right. So I mentioned to you that in entrepreneurship, there's something called a business modeling. Business model canvas. It's a nine area. Those people who do go through the HAB system understand these things. At the heart of it is your core value. The core value is not necessarily your products. So remember, I mentioned the core value with an example of Salem water. So the core value is health. Right? Even though the product is water, the core value is health. You need to then know who your key partners are. Key partners are those who will help you to produce the water. It could be those who produce the bottle. It could be people who, even some of the staff or some investors. These key people, it could be mentors. It could be some value chain people that you need them, right? Sometimes you will produce the best products, but you can't sell them because you don't have the capacity to sell. So if you are networking, you need to know who you want. Now, we always advise people that if you want to start a business, look at the core tenet of your business. Maybe you are coming out of school, you want to start, somebody is an IT guru, you want to start a digital platform, but you market it, you raise funding, right? You can bring 3 or 4 people together. One has a marketing background, one has a finance background, one has a project management background, but one is also a digital person. These 4 of you, without money, you can start your own thing. Right. So, right network. You say your network is your net worth.
Anyways, and so I mean that sometimes you find some people mapping out their networks and whether they want just funders, whether they want people who can manage with them, or people who can, just advise by way of mentorship and all of those other things. And then there are others that sometimes become kind of manipulative or tend to dictate so much that people lose the essence for starting whatever they even started. How do we get ready to ensure that no matter what people bring in, no matter the networks that I have, I can still stand by the values, I can still stand by the objectives for which I started and all of those? How do we build that kind of, stamina?
Two response. One is the hub system we have,
Okay.
a place where you are nurtured, you are incubated, or you are accelerated. Your idea is built. Somebody's helping you to know the value of the organization. Somebody is helping you to know that you have to register it. Somebody is helping you to know who you need to meet. Somebody is helping you to put the right document together so that you can meet the right people. You see, there are people who meet funders. There's a time I had a program at OSU, and I had one of the people that we had helped to start a business. And then we met a gentleman. His name is Fred Swanica. If you know of Fred is one of those, wild entrepreneurs that we have on the continent. He has a Ghanaian descent, he's in South Africa. Okay. When we met Fred, it was a German program, and so I was with this lady, and then Fred asked, as a lady, what are you selling? Tell me, pitch to me. Now, after the pitching, I was a little concerned because I noticed that the person couldn't sell well. But you can imagine, this was what I was there, but you can imagine how much we are leaving on the table because we can't tell our story right. Right. So one of it is going through a process to develop you. I mean, if you want to be a medical, let's say a doctor, you go to school, like you develop yourself. So the process of the hub help you to do that. But when it comes to funding, anytime that I meet people who are entrepreneurs, they want to talk about funding, I always ask them for what? Because Professor Manti will say that when you don't have ideas, anytime the money comes into your hand, ideas come into your head, right? Okay. And before you know, you have used it, you don't know what you deal with that with. If you don't have any plan for your money, the money will plan for you. I see. Right. It's like in this country, if you don't have any plan, the system will plan for you. Right. So what I would say is that the only way you gather the confidence to tell somebody that I do not want to engage with you is when you really know your worth. Okay. And it's when you have developed it with people who understand what it means to understand business. And sometimes also you realize that even with knowing the things that you need to do, there are common mistakes that some people are making when it comes to even developing themselves, and even about reading and all of those that you mentioned. How do people, or how does an entrepreneur who is now starting find the right people to follow and the right materials to read and all of that? Are there any specifics that you can mention for upcoming entrepreneurs? These are fragmented solutions, and that is why I said that the best place is a place where like-minded people forge connection. So in this country, in the last decade, there's been the development of the hub concepts. Government have gotten involved, and so there are places, there are events that you would go and you meet people coming together. For instance, when we had the DSS consultation, there are people from different units that came together, right? And so you need to look for programs and attend. Okay. Right. Just look for program and attend, especially programs that talks to the solution or talks to the economy that you are trying to be part of. Go and listen. Okay. You don't need to, if you have to pay. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Even if you are using your time, it is something. Yeah. So identify places you must go. If you're an entrepreneur and you're upcoming, like I said, apart from joining a hub, the second thing you have to do is to be fishing for programs about entrepreneurship and going. Good thing is that there are most of them that will even give you free entry, right? And so you just go and network, make sure that you can talk. You make mistakes. As for that one, it's part of the growth. But that's the reason why you need to have a review plan, so that if I made a mistake, tomorrow I will not make the same mistake because I am able to track it.
Okay. And also coming to the readiness again, are there any skill of preference that we need to make so that you know what you need first in terms of capacities or in terms of the resources that you need, so you don't go following something that you would have needed, I mean, later in your career? So if you can, I mean, tell us, in getting ready for any kind of career, what first steps should we do, or what should be our priorities, so that we don't have them misplaced and you didn't get one capacity before you were seeking for the other?
Well, I think that the first thing is to be able to tell the story well,
Mm.
right? That is the first thing. So by that I mean yourself.
Okay.
If you want to lead the charge and you don't understand it and you can't tell the story well, nobody will join you,
Yeah.
right? The second thing is to, like the Bible will say, your own environment, be able to tell the story around the people. Let's see if they could understand what you are trying to sell.
Okay.
That is why in most of the entrepreneurship journey, there's something called prototype,
Okay.
right? So you develop something and show it to people free of charge. I tell people, so for instance, let's say that you are a seamstress and you want to be a fashion designer. What stops you from getting like you and say that I will sew a dress for you for free, right? I will buy the material, I'll sew it
Fabric.
for free. Just sit on there and then I will probably put a design somewhere that people will know. So I think that you need to know the channel through which you will be able to send the
So,
information
okay.
out. And so the core people I would say is that first your production and
Okay.
second your outreach.
Okay. And then I think we'll be going on a break shortly. But you mentioned first your production and then your outreach. And I was just thinking, sometimes you find people seeking for certain opportunities. Meanwhile, they have not even built the capacity for that opportunity they are seeking for.
Right.
So in that regard, what do you expect that you do first, and then you can ensure, okay, now I am ready for the kind of opportunity I am seeking after?
Yeah, it still come back to when I said a hub. So, for instance,
Okay.
I've mentioned to you that there have been a lot of times that entrepreneurs say they need money, but there's money and they can't get it
Mm.
because first of all, they can't even pitch. So, for instance, when we had Ripe, we put out there and said that apply. Those who had already applied, reapply, but tell us a story about you, your business. People just put one line there and left it. Now, I'm supposed to imagine what it is, right? What it means is that if I have any supports, I may not even know that you need it,
Yeah.
right? So that's something that you need to go through a certain model development.
Okay.
And so if you cannot, you have to read about it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So we are going on a break again. We have been talking about personal growth and career readiness, what we need to know as entrepreneurs, and then to help us in being successful in whatever journey that we set our feet on. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome to Entrepreneurship Clinic, and we are having the October edition as we talk about personal growth and career readiness, what you need to know to get ready for the career that you want to pursue, and as an entrepreneur also, what you need to prepare for so that you can be successful in your venture. And this is brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV, and we are sponsored by Salem Water and Salem range of products. We have hair food, we have tissues, we have palm oil, we have groundnut paste, and a host of other products. And so just get close to any of the Presbyterian institutions, and then you can make a purchase of any of these products. And in today's discussion, we are having Mr. Henry Ajay Asari, who is a CEO and founder of Prime to Prime Ideas and Tent Maker Ghana. And he is an entrepreneur and a financial analyst, and has also been a superintendent for the Equiapem Presbytery and a president for the YAF for North America and Australia Presbytery as well. And we have been talking a lot when it comes to getting ready for the entrepreneurship journey and the things that you need to put on paper and the capacities that you need to build and some of the models that are available for you to explore. And now we'll be delving even deeper into getting ready for the other careers that you need to pursue. What are the priorities that you need to set so that you don't lose your way and you can maintain that momentum to get to the destination that you hope to get to, setting your priorities right and getting your objectives correctly as well. And so coming back to you, Mr. Henry Eji, so we've been talking a lot when it comes to the entrepreneurs and the things that they need to set rightly so they can pitch their stories well, they can sell themselves and then be able to get the needed support and the networks that they need. So coming back to the readiness in the other careers as well, you were talking about the fact that sometimes people do not even know where to get their capacities from. But as maybe graduates from the universities, from any other institutions that are training, after the training, sometimes it's even difficult to apply their theories to the practice in a field of work. How do we ensure that we are getting the needed skills so that you don't find a person with a certificate but not the needed skills for the employment they need?
All right. So now let me just probably take a little bit back. Even before you become a graduate, you want to be go into an employment, and maybe when you've gotten an experience, or maybe whilst you were in school, you were doing something, and then you come out and you want to go and start something.
Okay.
Institutions, especially high institutions, are supposed to have career development and counseling centers. We don't have a lot of that around.
We don't.
But as an individual, you should be able to do something like that. I remember when I was in the university, there was this guy who was my senior, and he didn't know how to draft a CV, right? You should be able to design things about your own career. You should be able to put together a resume. These days, information is abundant, right? I mean, the time that you go on Facebook to do some of this, you can just put in just short code how to be ready for a career, right? Or how to develop a resume, right? And things like that. It's something that's before we even get out, we should be able to do some of those things, and we should be able to gather the confidence. I have worked with people from across the globe: Africans, Asians, Europeans, Americans. The only distinction that I see is the courage, the confidence, right? Somebody may not have the product. Today, yesterday, I was telling somebody that we have the raw materials here, right? But the way we sell them, we shortchange ourselves. You go into a shop in any of the developed countries and they have just a little of raw content, and the way they are marketing it, you will buy it with double money, right? So I think that we should be able to gather some confidence. The way we gather confidence is putting ourselves out there to serve. You mentioned that people are, they are taking roles just as on pro bono basis. It's only in this area that we don't see a lot of people doing volunteerism. But there are places that people just go and say, well, look, I want to just come in and study. Just come and study something here. You don't need to pay me. I'll come, right? There are people who are home, who are, say, they are unemployed. They are probably putting themselves in association. And I'm thinking that you want to work in anywhere, right, in the media space, or you want to work in a banking sector. I could just approach someone and say, look, I would just want to be a banker, but I know there's no vacancy. Can I just come and be a cleaner here? Can I just come and volunteer here? And then you develop yourself in those areas and then probably do that. But when you come to the point where you are getting into a field, you must learn about the field. People go to interview and you ask them, what do you know about a company? And they can't tell you anything. They absolutely have not read anything about a company they want to work with. You have no idea of the vision of the company. You have no idea of the mission of the company.
To talk of aligning.
No core values. How do you even go there? Because you think that maybe this is Access Bank, this is an institution, this is Newmont. I want to work. Do you know the value system there? Do you know? I want to be an air hostess. Do you know the value system? Meanwhile, you yourself cry when you are going to work. You go to work late, right? So I think that it's very important that whatever we want to do, we must be able to read why. And so it comes back. There are people who started doing something when they were in school, right? Maybe somebody said, I started doing beads, selling beads when I was in school. Who buy the beads? Right. I have always cited this example that when we in the village and even in Accra, when you want to buy cocoa, right, you would probably get to the cocoa joint and you will stop there, they are queues there,
Yeah, you
and then they
join.
put it in some rubber and sell it to you. Probably, I don't know how much it is sold now, but maybe 1 cedi or something like that. Then somebody said and came and said, I want to sell cocoa, but I want to, the only thing I'm going to do is to package it.
Yeah.
And then had 5 times of it. The cocoa you buy for 1 cedi, you buy Cocoa King at 5 cedis. Sometimes the content is even smaller than the one that you bought.
One in the rubber.
It is somebody who thought that the people who eat cocoa are now managers.
Yeah.
They won't come and stand there and then buy cocoa.
Join queue.
Right. They will, if they are in the traffic, they can buy a cocoa that is
Already packaged.
right. So I think that it is more of understanding the level of who you want to engage and how you want to engage them. So it's knowing who you want to deal with.
So saying indirectly, I mean using your market or using the things that you want to achieve so that you can gain capacity for that to match the people that you want to reach. And you mentioned that some people start before they even get out of school and everything.
Yes.
But in our part of the world, it's not really like rampant. So a lot of people may not be doing that, or you won't find a lot of people volunteering to gain the experience that they need to gain. Is there any way that we could push for this? Because sometimes it's people not knowing. They don't even have an idea that, oh, I could voluntarily enter an organization and say, I want to gain experience. I want to just offer myself to gain the experience that I need. Are there any other ways that people can? Because sometimes you're even writing to certain organizations and they won't call you, or they are not just looking for you, so they wouldn't call regardless of what you want to offer. So in that aspect, what can people do so that they can still gain the experience in other ways?
Well, first, if you watch programs like this, you get to understand that there's something called volunteerism.
Very
Right?
important.
If you watch Entrepreneur Clinic on PGTV, you begin to understand. But I think that if in my organization, if I need 5 people to work, say, in the accounting department, and I have 5 people, I will not get more. But if I have somebody who says that I want to volunteer, I just want to come, you don't need to pay me. In fact, there are usually when people say they don't want to be paid, they want to volunteer, organizations end up paying them something, because especially when they give you value, because that person will come to work early, wouldn't give you excuses and say, oh, because traffic, I'm 5 minutes, I'm 10 minutes late and things like that. They won't, because there are people who want to show their worth. Right. I think that if you have something to prove, you need to be bold enough to go. But again, you need to vary the way you reach out to the people. If you apply and say, I want an application for employment as a banker, if there's no employment, I won't hire you. But if you go and say, well, I want to volunteer, can I volunteer at your place? And you say, well, there's no vacancy. I say, well, I'm not coming to add up to your costs. I'm only trying to help. Maybe you can just send me. I just want to have an opportunity. Some in this country is not done much, but in the organization they will probably do a background check, make sure you're not some criminal who want to do that. But once they are cleared, they will allow you to come in there. And you go there. There's a story told of a guy who worked in a bank. When he went there, he was just a librarian, because it was a big bank, so they had some stocks that they need to some document they need to take care of. He was the managing director, gave them a task and said that the following day there's a problem in the organization they need to solve. So everybody should just bring an idea. This guy, because he worked at a place where they have their archives and things like that, he was able to read some of the things and wrote things. Incidentally, the following day when the managing director came and asked for the results, nobody brought anything. People thought, oh, but this is senior management's responsibility. This was the only person who brought something, and that earned him within a space of 10 years. The guy was a managing director. Right. Now, this is not a conventional way of you trying to say, I want to go to school and then become and then get an increment. No, this is somebody who proved his worth. So how much value do we place on you in such a way that when we want to sack you, we won't sack you?
Okay. So coming back to that again, about still getting ready and getting the kind of opportunities that you need. And now you find a lot of people, wanting to even do more than one job. You find people, or even schooling and wanting to gain experience, or working with an organization or trying to build their own initiatives. How do you advise that they blend this so that it is able to push them for the opportunities they want in the future, so that there's no contrast like, oh, I want to be maybe a banker or I want to be a lawyer, but rather doing something like trading in some products and all of that? How do young people blend that so they are able to, everything fits into the direction they want to go?
One of the difficult things in life is identify who you are.
Okay.
Sometimes it looks like it's a simple thing. People get it easy, but people don't get it easy.
It's very hard.
It's the reason I keep telling people that, especially when you're going to do an undergrad, sometimes you don't necessarily need to worry the program you're going to read, especially when you didn't get what you want.
Okay.
Sometimes you get in there and you identify yourself.
Okay.
When it comes to career development, there are people who have gone through situations. So let me give you an example. Someone like, say, Professor Dai, he read banking and finance, but he never was a banker, right? There are people who read things they never used, that as a career. So I think that sometimes when you get the opportunity, that's why I say that there's a culture, a corporate culture that you could want to study and learn about, but you may not necessarily want to pursue that. Okay. Identify yourself. The first point is at least starting something and then knowing that this is not for me.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And so you need to profile institutions. Okay. You need to profile organizations. You probably need to profile industry, and then check and see yourself, what would I want to do? Somebody would tell you that I want to be a nurse, but I'm scared of blood. And you ask them, why do you want to be a nurse? Because maybe
you meet it every time.
When you see them, they are wearing white or they're wearing green, and it appeals to me. Well, that is not nursing. That is uniform. Right? Exactly. That is uniform. Yeah. So if your motivation is a uniform, when you wear a uniform, you notice that you are still the same person. Yeah. Right. So I think that, like I said, you need to be able to profile institutions. Okay. Some of them, once you profile them, the organizational pattern matches with what your aspirations are. Then you can then pursue it. But as you progress in your career, as you engage with people, you begin to align yourself. Usually, you begin to align yourself. You have to ask yourself, what motivates you? Okay. If it is money, it means that you are not motivated enough. It has to be something that you wake up in the morning and it burns you.
With or without money, you'd still pursue. Yes. And yeah, we are getting to the latter part of the program as we're talking about personal growth and career readiness. And from the point of, employers, or sometimes people who have the opportunities that they can give, what are some of the things that, aside the fact that you are able to sell yourself, what are some of the things they look out for that people are always missing out on, you think we should, take note of?
So every organization's drive from mission to the vision is a core values. Yeah. Right. So the value of people is what drive organization. Okay. You may enter with academics, but you don't have the value, you exit. Oh. It's a difficult thing when you are trying, and that is why people like to do poaching. Okay. Because maybe they identify I remember from one institute, one bank to another bank. The last bank that I worked with, I was in the house when the deputy director called me and said, "I'm told that you are home. Why are you home?" I went. I was not even interviewed because this is somebody who was banking at my old place, and probably saw the way I was engaging with my team, and then said, "Well, I think that you could do something best." So organizations look for value. Unfortunately, if it's an entry point, it's difficult for you to identify. So they may take your credentials, your resume, and then probably look at your academics, right? But that is why when you're putting your resume together, I've always had to talk about this, especially when we are dealing with career, that when you are applying for an organization, you don't put your education first. Okay. If you're doing something, you put your best foot first, right? So you put your career first, so that when somebody picks it, that's what comes to them before they go to your academics, right? So organizations will want to look at what you've done before. Okay. What have you achieved before? right?
Evidence.
So even if you are a new person, you are just entering into a career space. When you were in school, what
What
can
did
you
you do?
use as an evidence to say that when I was in school, probably I was a porter, I was an SRC secretary. This is my achievement. This is what I did, and then they
You
would
go
they would
with
then
that.
engage on that.
Your final words, any advice for entrepreneurs and people getting ready for other careers?
I think that development is incremental, but it's so important.
Okay.
But development must be measured.
Mm.
So I believe that every human being must have a plan.
Okay.
You must be able to know whether you are within your plan or outside your
Oh.
plan. Today is passing. What was your aspirations for the day?
Mm.
Were you able to achieve it or not? Every individual must have a personal plan written down.
Mm.
Because if you don't write it, the vicissitudes, the problems in the world would clear it off.
Mm.
So you need to write it down so that when amidst all the chaos, you come and you read and you get some peace. But again, get to the right people,
Okay.
because your friends, your network is your net worth. Who you know, for me, is not necessarily nepotism.
Mm.
If right now you want to give an opportunity to somebody that, if you have two people, one you know, one you don't know,
Definitely who
your
you know.
obvious option is the one that you know,
Yeah.
especially when you
And
know that the person
trust.
is good
Mm-hmm.
and you can trust,
Mm.
right? So it's very important that you associate with people who you think will help you. But again, there's no such thing as something for nothing.
Okay.
If you want something, be willing to invest something in it.
Definitely.
And so if you
Definitely.
want to start something, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to develop yourself, you have to ask yourself, what would you want to put in?
Great.
What will be your own contribution?
Great.
Even when you want to raise funds, they will ask you what is your own equity.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
So I would say that to develop yourself, you must be able to have a plan and must be able to review.
Great. You must have a plan and be able to review so that you can be successful in whatever journey that you choose for yourself. This has been your October edition of Entrepreneurship Clinic, brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. And we had with us in the studio Mr. Henry Ejay Asari, who is CEO and founder of Prime to Prime Ideas and Tent Maker Ghana. He is an entrepreneur and financial analyst, and with over 2 decades of experience in banking, finance, and investments, with background in accounting, project management, and research. And he was a superintendent for the Equiapim Presbytery, as well as a former YAF president for North America and Australia Presbytery as well. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Henry Ejay Asari. My name is Mavis Nakole Aito. We come your way in the next edition. We say that let us keep working and ensuring that we are growing ourselves so we can pursue our careers appropriately.